in, but I don't know why that's doing that suddenly. I don't like it. I gotta go change. Zoom keeps updating settings, and I go in and change them. I don't need Zoom to tell me the meeting's being recorded. Anyway, we're gonna kick it off like we do every single week. Let's hear from you guys first and see who's got some cool things happening or things that have gone on in their business, something fun that you want to share. And if nobody's got anything, because nobody's doing any business, then I'm just going to call some random people out.
I want to give a shout out to Jordan, even though he's not on here. He did our weekly huddle last week, and he did a phenomenal job. And so
if he's not on, you can't give him kudos.
I know, but anyway, I'm going to give kudos to the group because we've had a couple people, and it's amazing. It's just amazing the people you meet and how we can all help one another. So that alone is phenomenal. So
awesome. What did Jordan go over? Personal credit or business credit?
Personal and business. He did a little bit of both, for sure. And, we just knew he'd been super busy. And so, but it was good. It was just, and they kept him on there. I mean, the poor guy, it was 11 o'clock and his dog still had to go to the vet because he'd hurt his paw or something. So gotcha. He did good.
Well, I will, I got to touch base with him anyway for some Lions Den mastermind stuff. So I will tell him I heard through the gate bang that he did something good for once.
Yeah, and if there's anybody else, hit Marie up if you'd like to be on the huddle, because it's every week. And what are you out through all of June now, Marie, right? So if you got, I know she's got space. So if you'd like to come on Wednesday nights.
We still need to plan. We still need to plan a marketing workshop in Phoenix.
Yeah. Be good.
Cool. Anybody else? Wins, highlights, shares, something fun, exciting, cool.
Something was on a house. Was it yesterday? I think.
You closed on a house?
Closed on another house. Yeah.
Boom.
And yeah. So
where'd this one come from?
That one I think was Tennessee. Oh, that one's Indiana.
What channel did it come through? How'd you get the lead?
One of our lead generators, Facebook.
So Facebook message.
Following up on a really old lead from like 6-7 months ago.
Nice.
Yep.
Congrats on that.
Thanks.
And was that a Facebook ad or just something else that was on Facebook?
Just posting to Facebook groups.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Stephen and Caroline are very active with people in Facebook groups, and they do a phenomenal job of leveraging groups to generate leads and drive them to the site for that credibility aspect.
Yep. Whole system
proof that it works. That's their biggest lead generator.
Yep.
So, all right, Stephen, we might have to set up another call with you then. So just know that. We'll get a hold of Carolina.
Stephen, I told
she's
you
the one to talk to. I know.
I told you.
I need the infrastructure in place for that though, because yeah.
Well, you better talk to me or
I'm working on another project right now.
I know.
This one takes back burner.
So Roger and I have the free rights to go and create that product and just contribute to you? All right. Just kidding. Mickey, did you have something? I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, I had a call of a contact was actually asking me about TRC because she had heard and had an appointment with you, then bounced back to me. It's Yvonne. And she just wanted to know how the website, the metrics, like numbers, how many leads did you exactly got from the website? And I've realized that it's very hard to tell because it all gets, so yes, like Stephen, people will come from Facebook, then they will still land on the website, but the website is not the thing that actually, it's not the metric like they stumble on the website, but the website is actually the thing that will convince the people that they want to do business with you. So will you still consider the website as it being the inbound?
Well, so the
way Stephen? or in general?
In general, because I find myself explaining that all the time. Like people will ask me, oh, you've been in it for like a year working on your website. Did it really change? Like how many leads do you get for your website? And the truth is, I do get a lot of leads from like wholesaler, private money lenders, and realtors, but I don't get that specific seller that will actually call me. No, I didn't get that yet. I might not yet.
This is actually an interesting question, and we're gonna hit the rewind button on time to answer this one. For some of you, we're gonna have to go back quite a ways. For others of us, it's just around the bend. But let's go back to, I don't know, the year 1995. I just randomly pulled a year pre-2000, pre-internet explosion, right?
Alta Vista time.
1995. If you were in business, chances are your business was in some sort of a building, storefront, right? So the goal of a business in a storefront was what? Get bodies through where?
The door.
Through the door, right? And just because somebody walked through the door today, did that mean they were going to buy something today?
No.
Did it mean that they were even going to ever buy something from you? No. So to get somebody through the door, there was all these different forms of marketing. Radio ads, TV ads, flyers, billboards, right? Signs, some of the stuff that we still use today, non-digital format marketing, that would attract somebody into trying to get them into the storefront. And if they came in and purchased, was it the fact that they came into the store? Was it the fact that they saw the billboard? What was it that actually got them to make that purchase? Really hard to draw a conclusion there, right? But chances are, if we got them into the store and we focused on making our store the best experience possible in the store, did it increase, or would it increase the likelihood of converting them into a paid client of some sort?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, right? If you walked into a store and it was ugly, trashed, no products really around, or no information, if it's more of a service style business, nobody coming up to help me. Imagine going to a car dealership, no cars on the lot, no salesman. Are you going to do anything with that car dealership? Probably not, right? But if I go to a car dealership that's loaded with all of the best stuff, it's got a lot of options, it's got a lot of information, and it's got a lot of knowledgeable staff to talk to. Am I more likely or less likely to do business now with that dealership? Probably more likely, right? Fast forward 2021. What is today's storefront?
The website.
Your website. Is it the single thing that will convert them? Not always. But if I focus on making my website the best experience possible, the best functionality, if I focus on making my website actually show up so that they actually can see my storefront, do I have a more or less likely chance that somebody's going to get to it, see it, and do something, right? I got more of a chance for that to actually happen. Now, does that mean that just because you have a great website that's really well structured, really well optimized, has some of the basic functionality that needs to be there, that boom, you've got the best storefront? No, it takes work, right? Think about your favorite store or favorite restaurant that you go to. How many times have they maybe updated their interior, refreshed their stuff, changed out their menu, did different things, right? To keep up with the times, to keep up with the trends. That's why Roger and I say your website's never really done. It's never a finished product. It's done enough to go live. It's done enough to have something out there, But every step of the way that your business makes an adjustment or changes, the website needs to adjust and change right along with it. Literally right before this call, Roger and I were talking to one of our team members about an ad campaign. We're getting a lot of eyeballs into the storefront, but I have a feeling our storefront, in this case, the page we're driving traffic to, needs a cleaning. We just cleaned it. We just made an adjustment to it, but I think we put the wrong color paint. I think we forgot to put the right product in the next to the register, right? We got the product over here. We need it closer to the register. So we just talked about a slight little change that we're going to make to see if that changes an outcome. Do more people buy that product now? Do more people do something when they're on the website? So Mickey, when somebody asks you that question, the answer is, I don't need my website to be the sole deciding factor whether somebody does business with me or not. Think of Roger's analogy. The website and all of your marketing is really a bunch of fishing poles. Why did we adopt Max Traffic, the octopus? I don't need just one arm, aka my website, to do all the work for me. All this other stuff is helping, and they may or may not, in their progression with me, see my website. But I know if I focused on making my website the best that it can be, the most knowledge on it for my industry and for my audience, that those that do get on that website are going to find value. And if they find value, they're more likely to do something with me, whether that means they opt in, they call us, or they come through from something else, because they've built the trust and confidence. Steven, for example, is posting a lot in Facebook groups. I guarantee you not every single person that he communicates or his team communicates with in that Facebook group sees his website. But those that see his website probably have a little better feeling about taking the next conversation with him or his team than those that didn't. And if we put a poll out to those that he's converted and ask those that went to the website versus those that didn't, that question, I bet the answer would be, actually, yeah, seeing your website and reading some of that stuff gave me a little bit more confidence in you. But was it really the website that converted them? It was just an element. Does that make sense? Anything you want to add, Roger? I saw you kind of move like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you nailed it with that analogy, right? It's like we keep kind of going back to that one, because the website isn't going to flood your pipeline with leads, right? It's like it will if you do certain things, and you're in the right market, that's the right fit. But at the end of the day, like Sean said, it's one of those lines in the water that you put in there. And you got to put yourself, when you kind of answer those questions, you get stuck, you actually got to put yourself in the shoes of that person that's asking that question, or the buyer, or the person looking for that service. Because think about it, I do it all the time, and I'm in this industry, and I do it without even thinking. If I'm looking for a service or product, in most cases, I'm probably scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and I just happen to get a recommendation from one of my friends or something of that nature. What happens next is, oh, cool, this person must trust this company. So I'm going to check out, since I'm on Facebook, I'll probably go to that company's Facebook page. Well, guess what? Facebook only allows you to put so much information on there before you hit a wall, right? And if you're that interested, and especially if it's a larger dollar product, right? You probably want a little more information. Well, the next step for that particular user is just, where else can they get more information? Next logical place is the website. They didn't land on the website originally. They got you from one of the other lines, but eventually they made the journey and they got to the hub of the information place, right? Which is usually the website. And that's how, kind of when you think about it, when I talk about SEO and that's a big play to get people to land right away on the website. But there are many, many other ways that people will land there. And in most cases, when you're kind of like a earlier stage business, you're probably going to get people to land on your website from other forms of marketing, right? Like Facebook and all these other things that are out there that eventually they make that journey. But having a good optimized website, it's always kind of there, And it's like wine, right? The longer it's there, the better it gets, right? So it's like the more, obviously, the more content you add to it and stuff like that, Google starts kind of liking that. So that line with time continues to get stronger and stronger. So that's why we always say, get that website, make sure it's well optimized, it's there, because it's going to help you. But for now, like that, for the short term, all these other lines that are out there in the water will eventually, that website will benefit you, because people will eventually get there and want to know more.
Anybody else have anything on that? Additional question, follow up to it, anything? Great question to kick us right off there, Mickey. Segal, go ahead.
I think I get 1 lead a month from my website alone. So but I've been really working the website through the year, and they're really good leads. So that's what I can say for the website. And I think the way we build the website, they feel very confident coming forward. I actually getting more leads from the Big Island than from Maui, but yeah, so I share what the process did. But it's just now, after we've done so much work throughout the year, that it's consistent.
And you bring up a good point right there. When you say, right, 1 lead a month. Well, if you don't know the industry that somebody's talking about, getting that in, 1 lead could sound like that's it. But in some industries, 1 lead, that could be pretty good, right? A house in Hawaii, maybe I'm going to throw some hypothetical numbers out. 1 deal in Hawaii, let's say nets Segal 80 grand. Well, if I'm getting 1 lead a month that ends up converting, let's say she only converts a quarter of those throughout the year, 4 of those. Could that still be a pretty dang good year? Absolutely, right? Now, let's take a step back. I sell a widget for $2. 1 lead a month coming through my website that converts only 4 times for $2 a buy. Yeah, right. Not gonna cut it. I need more leads, right? So you always have to put yourself in the position too. You got to think when you're staring at your own metrics, the industry that you're in. Tony, for example, Tony moves a high dollar widget, right? At the end of the day, it's a widget. It's a fun little scooter thing, but it's a high dollar thing. He doesn't need 80 leads in a month to convert over, because he moves a couple of those a month. It's pretty decent money coming in. Those of you that are real estate, same thing. 1, 2 leads coming in a month. And I love what you said, Segal, they're better quality leads, right? That's the other piece. What's the quality like? Because I would much rather have 1, 2, 3 people in the real estate space reaching out and talking to me a month that are legitimate than 80 because I flooded and put a bunch of ad spend behind something and drummed up a bunch of vanity metrics. And the majority of them aren't even real.
And another thing for me is being on the first page and number 1 is really key for the business. Otherwise, I don't exist in Hawaii. If I'm not in the number 1 on my page, anywhere, wherever you find, I am not in the game. So that's huge for me. And that's everything beyond, even more than leads coming in, just being out there and the first on the page, because without that, no one's going to look at me. So for me, that's key.
Great point.
I can actually add to that real quick, Sean. It's turning out to be actually part of our call here, because it's a major part that I think everybody needs to understand. And when those questions come up, it needs to be easy. So when Mickey, when someone asks you that, I mean, and it is reiterating kind of the concept, right? Because it is kind of hard to bring, because it's not the same for everybody. using Seagull. I'm glad you brought that up because yours is a perfect example of some of you guys. You guys are in different markets and there's different competition in each market for position 1 on Google. All of you guys cannot rank number 1. That's the reality of it. 1, you guys all have different budgets, right? 2, you're in different markets. There's different competition, which means it takes longer in some markets than others. Okay. So it just depends on where you're at and how you're going to utilize this tool, because this tool can be used even though you don't rank number 1 on Google, you can still leverage this tool, which I'm talking about the website, if it's done correctly. So let's use Seagull's situation. She was really busy. She was kind of she already had a website, that wasn't really doing much for her. So the big key for Seagull, number 1, right before any of this happened, she had a website for what I think it was like 2-3 years that wasn't really doing much. She switched over to a website that we had and we structured it. I'm not saying that she ranked number 1 right out of the gate because she did not. Right? But she got one of the websites that was structured correctly, SEO friendly, right? SEO friendly, meaning all the keywords were in there, everything was correct. Boom, sat there. Did it rank right away? Absolutely not. What happened is that Seagull was on these calls every Monday and kept calling us for basically every strategy we talked about, she would implement, right? Now, one of the ones that really kind of started moving the needle was when she started kind of following the link building process, because she already had a lot of those pages in place, which a lot of you guys already do, right? So the next step is really to start adding some value to that website, really pinging the algorithm, meaning Google, letting them know you're there. Stream, like I'm here, right? So what we did with Seagull, she just did a press release, which gave her a handful of links. Did that do it? Absolutely not. Then she bought some just individual links that we went out there and did some guest blogging for her. Every a couple months we actually did that, right? Boom. Then she actually, one of the secret weapons, she went out and everybody she meets, she tells to go to her website, and not just go to a website, but actually do a Google search, and were they finding her on page 1? Not all the time. They probably found her on page 2, 3, whatever, right? But she was consistent. Well, what she kept doing, she was active, very active, and having the conversation about the website in front with their clients. So with time, now we're in it about a year, a little over a year or so. And her website, just with those efforts, those small efforts that continue to put the website up front, has moved the needle for her, where she's ranking for some very valuable keywords. And it's mind blowing because she's beating out some of the top nationwide kind of competition that's in the real estate space. And her website in Maui, because she is a local business and these guys are national brands, right? They're coming out and basically taking the little guys and pushing them down in the rankings. Well, because she was so active, she's been able to outrank them, right? So that's her story. That's basically what she's been able to do to kind of move the needle. And we have different location pages for her throughout the different islands in Hawaii. So she's able to rank number 1. So Seagull's able to get the leads, that 1 lead a month, that's quality, right? Because she's moving the needle with SEO, right? And then everything that she's doing, I don't know everything about her business, but she has some other stuff going on as well that's doing. For you guys that are maybe on a more competitive market, that you can't just add a couple links and you're going to rank number 1 in the next month or so. Not going to happen, not realistic. For you guys, you got to have a plan in place where you are adding that value. You're still doing those things, right? But you're not staring at it every day. That's the problem, where it starts burning you out, where you're just staring. It's like, I'm not ranking number 1. I'm not going to get any leads. That should not be your only plan, right? You should have other lines in the water, whether it's social media, whatever it might be, but you have to have a consistent campaign going, because that website eventually, like I said, with time, that one will start producing leads, right? But you have to have something. What I get sometimes is people get even one of our websites, they put them out there, they do nothing. They let it sit. They come back 6 months later and they say, Roger, this is not doing anything. Well, let's go back and analyze. What have you been doing? Have you gone to your website? Have you told anybody about your website? No. I thought the website just does it on its own. Absolutely not. We're very clear on this call that the website does not, even a well-optimized website, you still have to basically promote it. That's probably the key word, right? Promote it. Go ahead, Sean.
How many of you guys have been to Vegas? Is there a lot of bars in Vegas, or a little bit of bars? Ton of bars, right? How about and don't take any offense, ladies. How about gentlemen's clubs? There are a lot of gentlemen's clubs in Vegas, or a little bit of gentlemen's clubs? Ton of them, right? So if you were going to step into Vegas today and open up a gentlemen's club, are you dealing with a lot of competition or a little competition? A lot, right? Now there's billions of people that go through Vegas in a year. You open up a brand new gentlemen's club, do they have any idea you exist? No, heck, the ones that have been around forever, people don't even know that they exist, right? I've been to Vegas a ton. I can't name all of them. But when you're in Vegas walking around, what do all of those gentlemen's clubs do? Who can guess where I'm going to? Liz, I saw you do the hand motion. Liz, what do?
They pass those cards out everywhere on the street, on the corners, to your kids. to
What
your
are those
son.
cards?
They're advertisement cards that come in. They're those like little business card things.
That's got their name and their address and probably a website on there, right?
And usually a lady.
And a lady, right? Get your attention.
A discount.
What's something else that they do? A lot of these
Yep.
gentlemen's clubs offer something to get you in the door, get you over there.
Yeah, free drink or a discount or something. Somebody,
Discounts.
yeah.
Limo ride?
Limo ride. There we go, Terry. I know you've been in one of those. with
No,
us.
my friends tell me that.
They offer you a free limo ride. Right? Why? I'll excite you with a limo ride. I'll excite you with some free drinks. I'll excite you with a discount. Maybe I'll excite you with free bottle service. Something to get you in the door, right? Why? Because you don't know that they exist. They're trying to get you to pay attention. What Roger's talking about right there is the same thing with Google. Google does not know that you exist when you first start your business, when you first come online. For many of you guys, you've been around for a little while, but you were on a very poor structured platform. So guess what? Google didn't know you existed, even though you were around. Now, we're not enticing just people to come to our gentlemen's club with a limo. We need to entice Google to pay attention to us. And that's what he was saying Segal did really well over the last year. Not only was she doing the things to get Google's attention to pay attention, right? Hey, Google, I'm over here. Come over here. Here's that limo. I'll bring you over. Here's that free bottle. I'll bring you over here. She was also standing on the street corners passing out little cards. AK, she was telling everybody she met, and she does this all the time, go check out my website. Go check out my website. Go check out my website. Hey, jump on Google and search this. I bet you I show up. That's just standing on the street corner passing cards. It's just enticing people with a bottle, with a limo, with a discount, right? So what does this mean in the marketing space? Roger and I talk about this all the time. Your website needs to be the #1 sales and marketing agent in your business. How many of you guys have ever worked sales before? A sales job? Eric, when you worked sales, did you get fed leads or did you have to go drum up your leads?
Oh, I didn't work sales. I'd never worked sales.
Oh, I said, who's worked sales?
Oh.
Who's worked in a sales role? Anybody? Most of the time, it depends on the structure, but the higher paying sales jobs, you got to go get your leads. You've got to go drum them up. That's business. You've got to go get the people and bring them into the storefront, bring them in to your website. In time, you entice Google to help you bring those in, aka feed you some of those leads. However, the most valuable ones are going to be the ones that you entice in. And then once they're in, I go back to that other analogy that I used, your website being a well-structured, formatted, filled with the right information, knowledgeable. Now we've got a really good storefront. Now we've got a really good shopping experience. Now we got something for them to move on. Now, how do we fill the store with all of this stuff? So stuff that Roger's been talking about the last few weeks and stuff I was talking about before that. Right, some of the SEO elements help us make it a good shopping experience from a UI user experience. Content, on-page content, blog content, video content, takeaway content. Everybody loves a good takeaway, right? I know it's been a long time, but who remembers trade shows? We used to walk around the trade show just for the free shit that they would give out, right? 'Cause
Swag.
it was always good swag, good free stuff that I could take with me. Well, if you've ever run or ever had a booth in a trade show, you invest in that stuff. Why? Because if they take it and walk away with it, now something of my brand is in their hands. Well, on a website, I got to give them something to take away that's got me on it. That's the lead magnets. That's the opt-ins. These type of things. This is why we always go back to say your website's never done, because can you ever have all of this stuff dialed in and perfect? Nope. It's always going to be changing. You're always going to be producing something new. Something's going to adjust. Something in the industry that you're in is going to change. You're going to want to make an adjustment to this. So I think we've driven that point home pretty hard, but I bet it's got some minds spinning. So what questions do you guys have around that? Because that actually turned out to be a really good topic to dissect even deeper. I want to hear what you guys have first. Nothing? All right, perfect. Great call. We'll see you guys next week.
I've
take
got a
action.
question.
It always comes out when I just decide to end it, huh?
No, I couldn't hit the unmute button. Okay, so what would be the first thing somebody should do?
First thing that you should do?
Yeah,
Kind of a loaded question, but I'll break it down, and I know Roger's got some stuff on this one as well. I'm gonna take a step back though and not go so technical on it. And the first thing that you really should sit down and think about, and I've thrown this out a few times, Tony, I know you're kind of new to the calls on there, but for some of you guys, this will even be a refresher. Sit back and think about what are the most commonly asked questions about your product or service. The things that you constantly repeat. When you know that, you kind of know, all right, I always get asked these 5, 6, 10, 20 different kind of questions. Or if somebody says, hey, what do you do? And I get into a conversation. This is all the stuff that I end up having to explain about me, my business, what we do, who we serve, all this stuff. Make a list of that. And then take a look at your website. And step into the role of that person. Not you, the owner of the business, the knowledgeable one. Step into the shoes of the person that would get on that website and go through it and ask yourself, can I look at this website and answer all of this? Can I look at this website and get all of this information? If I can't, that's the immediate step one. Why? As a business owner, I don't want to have to keep repeating myself. Somebody wants to know about top results. Tell me more about it. I can hit them with a quick little thing, and I know confidently I can say, here's our website. Go check it out. Let me know if you got any questions after you look at it. Why? Because I know our website's got, and it's not even perfect, but I know our website's got enough that somebody can answer the common 5, 10, 15 questions that Roger and I would get as to what TRC does, who we help, how do we help, what is it that we offer. So for somebody just getting started, maybe just getting started in the website side of things, maybe it hasn't been such a big focus, that would be my suggestion. And that sounds easy. List these out, step into the role. The hardest part of that is to stand in the shoe of your client. Because you have to act like you don't know anything. And objectively look at your own information and ask that hard question. If I knew nothing about this product or service or this company, can I get the answers that I'm looking for? If I can't, that like immediate, I got to get to work on that. Once that's in place, then we can start to move the needle in some other areas. And Roger, you can kind of share some of the more technical side of things out of the gate that somebody would want to do.
Yeah, I actually have a diagram. I was trying to find. I got it right here. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. I used to share this quite a bit, and I think it's appropriate now to kind of bring it back in this conversation. Here. So I used to use this. I still do actually on a lot of our sales calls, just to kind of explain what exactly we do, the process, just simplified, right? So Tony, your question is, what do I do first? What should I, where should I focus? Well, in reality, this is kind of like a simplified version of that explanation. But here at the top is your website. So what should you do first? You should get your website live, right? So you're with us, so we've taken care of that for you, and we're working with you on that. So this already gives you a great starting point. All of you guys on this call actually have a good starting point, because this is probably the most important thing. You need something to leverage, right? Your website. Number two, on the website, you have to have what we call keyword pages, right? And I kind of put 3, but you can have many. These represent either, for you real estate people, would represent your location or city pages, right? Each one of these represents a city, right? Or if you're a service-based company, this would represent a very specific service, right? So that's number 2. For you, Tony, you're in real estate. So we already handled that for you, right? You have this piece done. Because you have a city page for each place, right? So you can check that off your box. Then the next step, Tony, is probably where you fall into. What should I do next? Is what Sean was just talking about. Now I have to go and talk about, like, for example, Tony, tell me one of your cities on your website.
Lakeland.
Lakeland?
Yeah.
All right. So under Lakeland, you got to think about, all right, what in Lakeland, who do I want to tackle? And this can be the same for a real estate investor. It could be the same for every city, but you have to still make the decision. Say you're working on Lakeland, then I would come up with questions for the people from Lakeland on what type of these clusters represent blog posts, right? So here, this first cluster would be something like, what's the foreclosure process in Lakeland? Next one, going through a divorce in Lakeland and need to sell your house fast. So on and so everything geared towards Lakeland. And what we do on your end as your SEO team or your website team, we then link all these blog posts back to the main keyword page, which would be your Lakeland city page. Because a city page is essentially a sales page. You guys are very familiar with like landing pages and things like that, just because there's a lot of platforms like ClickFunnels and that have made that famous. So look at your city page as your landing page, right? The sales page. That's why when you guys read it, it has very aggressive language on it, very salesy language. But in reality, a lot of the people that will get to your website will actually come from a blog post, because they're not looking for, selling their house, or they're looking for a very specific situation. So they look for one of these things. I'm going through a foreclosure. I need to know what the process is in Lakeland, right? So they'll find your blog post and eventually get to the sales page, which is the landing page. And that's where they would opt in, because it's the journey, right? So your next step, Tony, would be to start working on some blog posts. Now that you got to spend all your time on this. No, you have 6 city pages. If you kind of out of the gate, we give you, we set up 6 for you. Maybe you focus on 1 or 2, right? We don't want you kind of spending all your time on this, but that's where you would start. For those of you that have a little more bandwidth and maybe a bigger budget, I usually recommend at least having 3 blog posts per city page or per service page. I'm sure there's at least three questions that people would ask. For you real estate investors, you're looking at your ideal client, your avatar, right? Is it people going through divorce, people going through foreclosure, whatever it might be? That's what you focus your clusters around, your blog posts, right? So the content. And the reason I put the content as the next step is because these bottom items are the ones that are going to drive traffic, that are going to start actually getting people to start thinking, whether they landed on your website or not, they're probably going to land on your Google My Business. They're going to land on your social media and eventually get to your website. But think about it. If somebody is really interested on Facebook and they found you through a Facebook group and they looked you up, they went to your business Facebook page and they're still interested, and eventually they make it to your website and you have no content on your website, you lost them. You had them ready to convert, and they got to your website and it didn't have enough content, right? It didn't have good information. Well, you lost them. That's why I like to really push on the blog posts, because that gives, depth to your website information. So if someone goes there, wants to click around and see what you got going on, and they see that you're answering a lot of questions within the website, that gives you authority, right? That gives you, they start building that trust with you. But content is next. And then if you wanted to ask what the next step is, the next step really becomes up to
Wait,
you.
Roger, can I ask a quick question
Items on the
about the
bottom.
blogs?
Go ahead.
On the different cities, would you write the same blog for each city and then attach it to that city page that you guys have done for us? How to stop divorce or foreclosure in Phoenix, how to stop foreclosure in Glendale,
You could. That's actually a great question. And Liz, this depends on you guys. If I had the time and budget, right? When we do a dominator level client, we run into this situation. And what we do have to create one for each one, but we try to make it sound different. So that's where creative writing comes into play. You're still saying the same thing, but my Yuma, Arizona, foreclosure blog is way different than my Phoenix, Arizona foreclosure blog. Not very different. We're saying the same thing, but creative writing, making them sound unique. That if you don't, then, you can get away with, not copy and pasting, but you changing a couple little things on there. But for our higher level, advanced SEO clients, we do that. We rewrite that blog, even though we could just take it and copy it. We don't. We rewrite it. We make it sound unique. Question. And then these bottom items, you have an entire list. You have to really make a decision on where you want to spend your time. So if I need to give you guys advice, if you're doing it a DIY, right? Doing it yourself, you have a foundations website and you're trying to figure this out. You're going to get some blogs. You're like, Roger, I got, 3 blogs per city page. I got the minimum, right? That you recommend. What's my next step? You have this list. I would probably push you guys to the GMB, which stands for Google My Business. I had an entire session on Google My Business, right? So Google My Business is the most important citation, most important directory on the internet because it's a Google directory, right? So if you can get that set up, that would be good. And I would probably spend time on this one. Make sure you have all the information filled out and then go gangbusters on getting reviews on that Google My Business. Because once again, your website becomes secondary. Someone might actually find you first on your Google My Business, but eventually they'll get to your website and it has to be ready to convert people, right? What else do we have here? We kind of mentioned reviews. This one right here is what Segal did very well. I think it had a lot to do with some of the moving the needle on her stuff is user search and clicks, right? Just getting people to go there. A lot of you guys are doing webinars within this group, right? You're actually attending each other's groups and presenting. Well, you should actually be telling people to go find something on your website or look us up on Google. Huge opportunity. You probably have 20 to 60 people on those calls. Huge opportunity to get clicks for your website. That will move the needle. Go ahead, Sean.
On that note, Liz, Marie, when I spoke at your group, how many times did I say, just go to topresultsconsulting.com for that. Go to topresultsconsulting.com for that. If you want to talk more, go to topresultsconsulting.com.
Tons.
That right there is what Roger's talking about. When you're out at places or you're around people that could be your ideal audience, a team member, whatever the case, some of you guys real estate folks, you run into a potential contractor. Hey, you want to better understand who we are, what type of projects we do? Go to lizandmarie.com. Go to akindevelopers.com. Go to hookproperties.com. Don't say, oh, I'll send you that information. No, get it. That's making your website the sales agent. Put it over on the website and tell people to go there. Because now they have to search it. They got to type it in. And that's going to help bring some of that power. Just wanted to throw that in, Roger. Sorry.
Yeah, and the branded searches and things are changing all the time. That's why it's fun. SEO for me is just very fun because the branded searches, when I say branded searches, means your company name. When someone goes to Google and puts in Top Results Consulting, and we pop up, right? Number one, that means we won our branded search. We won our company. It takes work, guys. It doesn't just happen. Just because you have a website and that's your name, you're going to win it. It took us Google My Business, a bunch of reviews, a lot of, branded searches, us telling people to do it. Eventually our name started coming up and now we own that position. But once you own it, that will help everything else as well, because you're building that. You basically, we're telling Google, I'm here. Now Google knows you're there, right? So for everything else starts working. But we're going to go back to this list here and just kind of hit on just some important ones to Tony's question. What's next, right? So you got your website, you have your city pages, you know that you have to create clusters, which represent blog posts for each city page. And then you start hitting the easy ones down here. For everybody, it might be different. Google My Business was one I hit right here. Getting reviews on your Google My Business. I would probably then go to, skip all the way over here to social signals, which is set up your social media accounts like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever makes sense for you. Dangerous, something very, very dangerous within the social media. You have to set up the ones you think you can manage, right? Some people can manage many, many accounts, but maybe you're a one-man show, right? If it's Facebook, then create Facebook, right? And focus on actually posting stuff to that Facebook page. But if you can manage multiple accounts, then do it. And you decide which ones. For real estate investors, which I was looking at the lineup here, most of you guys are, probably something like, and Sean, you can chime in here, but Facebook, Instagram, and probably LinkedIn would be really good. Twitter is good. I'll tell you what, from a SEO standpoint, I like Twitter because it helps me index pages. Has nothing to do with any type of lead generation. It basically helps me index because there's a lot happening on there. Even though nobody maybe in your industry, or a tiny bit of people in your industry might be doing it. I like Twitter just because I'm able to help index some pages on your website. That's the only reason. But once you have those, then having content on those platforms obviously represent what's called social signals. Not only you posting stuff, but people on social media mentioning your company. So once again, we go back to promoting, and this does take some work. This actually a great strategy is, I believe Stephen is the one kind of doing this a lot here with the groups, right? He was just saying that he's very active in groups. So probably he's taking a lot of advantage of this strategy here, but this is something that you can do. And then we're going to finalize here with citations. Citations are basically just directories. So I kind of put some examples here: Yelp, Angie's List. You have Manta, you have yellow.com, which is Yellow Pages online. There are many citations, which are directories. What I would recommend, Tony, the question was for you, for the citation piece, what I would say, Tony, in your area, see if there's any local directories, right? General local directories, and put your website on there. When I say directories, it's websites that allow you to put a profile about your company, right? Like the yellow pages, right? Put a profile. What happens is when you create those, they allow you to put a link, basically a website link. That link is a backlink. That's huge. It's right here as part of a strategy. But citations, they tend to be more general. They don't have as much power as you going to a blogger that has a lot of authority and a lot of following, and then they give you a link, right? They backlink to it. Doesn't matter. I'd rather you guys start with some lower level links and get those foundational links set up. And those are your citations. So I'll kind of stop there because I can go deeper, deeper and deeper on this, but this is just some ideas on what your next steps can potentially be.
Okay, I have another quick question on the Google My Business, just super quick. If we have a review, like Maria and I have gotten some reviews that they've sent to us, can we upload them onto Google My Business, or do they have to actually do it themselves on there?
They have to do it themselves. And I'll go one step further. If you can get a keyword in your review, coach the person that's going to leave you a review. Say you bought it because they're going through foreclosure. Make sure that they say, Liz and Marie were awesome real estate professionals. They helped me get rid of my foreclosure problem. They added the foreclosure that you helped them. So that's the ninja trick, I'll I'll throw in there.
I want to digress back a hair, Roger. How important is it out of the gate? Let me rephrase. I already know it's important. If they're just getting started, would it be beneficial to hone in and focus on owning the branded search?
Absolutely. That's if they're just getting started, trying to get that branded search, because they're not. And the reason I say that is because if you go and try to get people to look you up around We Buy Houses, Phoenix, Arizona, right? You're still going to be on page 50 or something like that for a while before it starts moving. It's going to be easier for you to actually tell people to go find your business name. And eventually, obviously, if you're just kicking off, they probably won't find you. It'll take a while, but that's going to be the easier one to win right out of the gate.
So with that, I'm gonna throw this out there. That is your guys' challenge. And this is what we mean by owning the branded search. You can see the screen with top results, correct? Yep, okay. Perfect. So notice I just typed in top results consulting. Is everything on this page us? So if somebody just heard the word top results consulting, or I'm out somewhere, meet somebody, and all they remember is the brand name, top results consulting, and they want to go Google it to look it up. This is what we mean by owning the brand search. Notice the images here, they're us. The Google My Business section, all right, we're here. Our socials in here. Even we're part of Think Realty. That brought us in on here. Now, Liz, Marie, are you guys okay if I share yours? I'm just using you guys as an example because I know you're okay with me picking on you a little bit, and it'll fire you two up. Did anybody know that Liz and Marie is also something to do with like an American race or something like that? So if all I knew was Liz and Marie, there's some real estate thing that's in the Phoenix or
Oh
Arizona
yeah, they
area.
were on The Amazing Race. I Googled that the other day and said to Marie, holy crud, we can't do that, but we got to get our name out there in some other race.
So, I mean, this is a great example, right? Somebody meets Liz and Marie somewhere and they're like, this Liz and Marie, they said they had a business together, Liz and Marie. I think it was lizandmarie.com or whatever. And they just type in Google, Liz and Marie. But what's showing up? Your Instagram's there. But what's number one? Is this Liz and Marie?
That's not our Instagram either. I hate to say it, but that's not.
Oh yeah,
us.
that one's not yours. Sorry, I just noticed the NYC there. That's not you. That's not you. Oh, there you are.
Whoop, whoop. See that?
But is this Liz and Marie? Well, it's Liz and Marie, but it's not the Liz and Marie we know. They don't look as cool. Oh, there we are. Maybe. Nope. Somebody else who's got this Liz and Marie blog. Liz and Marie Home Decor. So guess what? You got your work cut out for you. So I think that's a great place to end us here tonight with an assignment is do your own branded search. Sophia, I love that face. That was great. I said, do your own search. And she went, do your own branded search and see what shows up. More importantly, see what doesn't show up of yours.
So I just noticed something where I did a search on mine. At the very bottom, there's this thing called related searches, which has nothing to do with us. Is there any way to affect that?
Roger,
Because right now it
that's
says prefab homes under 100K, which I don't know why that's a suggested search at the bottom of ours, but
you're talking about this right here. Sure. This section down here.
yep.
Yeah. So obviously for ours, what's showing up under related search, growth marketing firm. Yeah, that fits. Maverick Property Group, that's actually one of our clients. We're not a marketing firm in Orlando. Growth marketing company, kind of fits. So Roger, is there any way to affect that, or how does that get affected?
Yeah, that'll take a while, Stephen, because right now, I mean, I wouldn't even worry too much about that because it's random, right? It's taking like the keywords from your company name and trying to associate with what trillions of other index, stuff and trying to kind of relate it. So kind of the key right here where you guys start kind of getting some traction is basically you have to get out there and promote, right? And the easiest way that I would say to kind of kick off a promotion if you own none of that branded search would probably be a press release. Some kind of simple press release to kind of get the name out on hundreds of websites, right? And what a press release is one article about your company, right? And then we syndicate it out to a lot of news outlets and they just have it on their website. So those tend to sometimes help bring down whoever's beating you. Because so to Stephen's kind of to answer that question, I wouldn't worry about that too much. There's no real control. Once you start winning the branded search a little more because of your promotion, you'll start kind of seeing more things that make more logical results on the bottom, right? That are related to the keywords on your website. But for Liz and Marie, you guys are still on page 1, along with that other group, right? From the Amazing Race, I believe it was. The benefit that you guys have is those things are up there because they're off of the Amazing Race, which is a very probably, obviously it's very authority trusted. So when they ran and they did articles around them, they ended up there. But those are easy to win if you play your cards right. You guys can probably run a couple very targeted press releases and start moving the needle. Now your website might not. You'll notice that maybe your website might not move up right away, but these other assets, the press releases that are mentioning you guys might actually outrank those guys. Why? Because that ABC outlet website might have a higher authority than you guys, right? Than your main website, but they actually have a higher authority than those other ones that are there. So they might start beating them out, moving them down, but that's kind of the process. Start kind of moving all that stuff down and your stuff up. And eventually you'll start looking kind of like the top results one, right? Your Google will figure out that all these are related to your website. So I'll move your website to the top and then all additional supporting assets are underneath. Top results didn't get up there just like that. The website didn't exist. We had a website and Google didn't know we were there. We started promoting the heck out of it. Facebook, Instagram, all this other stuff, telling people to go there. And those things were ranking higher for a long time. Eventually our website got on top. But that's it. You'll see all your assets start ranking first and eventually Google will understand. And that's why the consistency on having your website, your phone number, your address, your, everything about your business just consistent on all the assets that are talking about your website out there on the internet, that they're consistent. So that way, when Google finally understands like, all right, this is an ecosystem, this is a brand. Now let me organize this page 1 for this branded search, right? Because if you don't do that, there's different phone numbers, different addresses, variations of your company name, then Google's all confused. You'll never get that clean 1-page kind of branded search.
And on that too, the GMB element on the right side, right? That didn't just show up. That took us, and I know Roger, I think it was last week or the week before, maybe the week before, I think you did the whole breakdown of GMB.
Yeah.
But it took us getting all of that set up, getting all that information in there, getting a bunch of reviews onto it, getting photos onto it, right? Doing all of the elements for that to suddenly now show up in there. And that's another big piece. So for many of you guys, this is kind of like right where you're at, right? Over the last month and a half, we've given you a lot of kind of the steps. A lot of you are now in this phase where let's start owning at least the search for our name, our company name, and doing some of these things. I know Roger's thrown out the concept of press release, good way of getting some high authority things talking about you up there to help create this brand ecosystem. Before we get bombarded with how do I even get one of those or do one of those? If you want a press release, email support. Keep it simple. Email into support, tell them that you want to do a press release around things. We'll work that process out with you. What's the cost? I forget our cost on that, Roger. If you know it off the top of your head, or Excel, you're on here too. answer?
1:30. 1:30.
1:30?
Yep.
So 1:30 on those press releases, they get written by our writing team. They get pushed out through a partnership that we have with a syndicator on that. And it's, a couple hundred different news outlets that gets pushed out to. That's got the potential to be picked up. Cool thing is, it gets picked up by things like ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. Now we can start even adding some of that element to your website just to boost some credibility when somebody is on that site that you've been seen on or as seen on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, these type of things. Because if they pick up the thing and they publish it to their site, you've been seen on there.
Do I need to send an email to you guys saying add that to our page, or
What's that?
do I need to send an email to you guys to have you add that to our page?
The as seen on?
Yeah,
Yeah, any platform, anything that you've been seen on, all right, or been featured on. If
Okay.
you have their name and maybe a logo, if it's not the big, right, the big news outlets, maybe there's some other one, maybe it's something local in your market, a local magazine or something like that. Those would be great.
so along the lines of Liz and Marie, would they then just maybe do a blog post that contains like that specific keyword, the amazing race? So maybe they
No,
get some
no,
of the traffic to that?
No, not at all.
No,
You don't
okay.
want to compete with that. You know what I mean? Because Liz and Marie, the names, right? Because they're two different industries.
Right.
So you got to go and you just got to change Google's mind. Yes, that Liz and Marie is a real estate company, and we are local. We're current, and we are very active, and we should be the ones that you should be mentioning, right? Because you got to. Well, Google's a business, so are people still interested in those two, Liz and Marie and the Amazing Race? Is that consistently bringing revenue to Google or not, or whatever it might be? Because I don't think they're adding any more content, right? It's just there because it was an old post or whatever it might be. For you guys,
2014.
you're consistently there. Google looks at you guys as, you can probably be a client in the future for ads. You are actually getting traffic, you're converting, people are coming there. So it becomes more important for them to show you. You might not appear in Maryland, right? But you will start appearing a lot in Phoenix and in those areas, your local market, you'll start winning your local markets. And that's what you want. You want to be able to kind of appear and own those in your local markets. Does that make sense? So
A quick question just on consistency for naming. There's places where it says Liz and Marie, A-N-D, and there's places where it has the symbol. Is there an issue with that, or can, I guess, do we make a change to that?
I would actually leave it alone, because you guys use both. And if it's almost like a variation, like what we call it, kind of like a synonym, right? A variation of a certain word. For you guys, very specifically, I would leave it alone, because we probably want to own if someone puts the ampersand. And right now with Google's AI that's starting to understand a little bit more content, it'll probably put it in the same category.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Just so you know, Marie, I took out the word and put the sign in your website left page one.
That's not good. But if you put in Liz and Marie real estate, I think we're number one.
See, that's awesome, because that's literally using a kind of a keyword. Do they pop up?
Yes.
They're on number one.
They
We
are
should all
number
do
one.
that search then, right? Maybe click on one of the links.
What's that?
So we should all search for that, right? And maybe click on one of the links for a bit.
Yes. Steven, that, and then Liz and Marie need to kind of then reciprocate maybe next week for another company. And we can kind of keep going in circles here to get everybody. But there are groups out there just like this where they'll run experiments, tests, right? And it does move the needle. We have seen it. We've even done it from time to time, and it does move the needle.
So yes, when you go long tail and add the word real estate, we hone it in. The problem is most people are just going to meet quirky old Liz and Marie and remember Liz and Marie and type that in.
Right.
Trying to find you guys. So with that, You guys got your action items? Bless you, Mickey. You guys are in, I see everybody on one screen, so everything you do, I'm watching, unless you're like Lorraine and you turn off your camera. And Kim earlier, but she turned hers back on.
So with Roger's Google My Page presentation the other day, we had dialogue on the UPS address or no. But I think bottom line was try it for Google My Page.
Yeah,
If
I
it
don't
takes
think
it,
the UPS
takes it.
boxes work.
They don't, yeah, we basically talked about that, Sean. They actually absolutely, we're gonna say it here, right? They absolutely don't. Google, it's against their policy, but there are some people that have gone over that and they've gotten verified. So just
know,
kind of putting it out there. If you
Marie-
want to try it, then try
I
it.
didn't
But
want to say, I didn't want to say what Marie did, but Marie, tell them how you pushed our thing through, even though we have that address, but they still gave you flack about it. But you did a series of things and got it to finally go through.
Yeah, no, well, I actually just completely deleted the Google My Business account that I first set up under one Gmail and then just created another Gmail and recreated the business with the new address, and it worked fine.
I know, but you did
Somehow it
something
slid
else.
through. But they gave me flack about it was a work share place, and I'm like, but we have an office at a work share place, and they still just sent me a generic email that if you're at a work share place, it's still not considered an office or something. I don't know.
But you put the address in, you put the suite number in, you put the hours of operation in, you put.
Yeah,
mean-
I put everything, I created the whole thing, and then when I applied for it, I specifically even wrote in there, like, these are the hours of operation that we are in this office location, and then it got approved.
So don't know if that helps on a UPS thing, but you
It
really-
does. I think it does. That pretty much proves the more information you provide Google that you're real, right? The easier it is to get through, regardless, even if it's a real location, like you guys, right? It's still a location you guys work out of. So it's just trying to provide them as much information as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just work share locations versus UPS stores. Two totally different animals. And I'm just speaking from firsthand experience. I had a UPS mailing address before under the Sean Tiberio brand, and I never could get it to verify on GMB. So just something to think. Try to push, Terry, you can try to push more information through it, but I've never seen one stick on that end. So, all right. Well, good call tonight. Mickey, thanks for, we had no plan. It was just a free form tonight. We'd see what questions came out, but great question. And it led to some really good information and some good action items. And as I say all the time, we'll see who takes the action, because action drives results. It's plain and simple. If you do the work, you will start to see results out of it on there. So with that being said, if anybody wants a press release, if that's something that you're in a position that's kind of next steps for you, again, I would really go back and ask that hard question first. What are the very common things I always repeat? Can I get that information if I go to my website? If I can't, I need to get that stuff on there. Once I have some of that stuff going, then I can take Roger's advice, start to build out deeper into my silos, my city pages, the blog elements, these type of things. And then look at next layer, right? Press releases, citations, other things that can go. And at any point, if it gets too much, that's why we have the other packages where we can help you get some of that stuff done for you. So quick reminder too, Wednesday is our next HubSpot training call. So anybody that's currently using HubSpot and wants some assistance with it, Wednesday we will be having that call at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And anybody that's curious about HubSpot wants to just jump on it, the link is in the Facebook group. To check some stuff out on there, or just hear what everybody else is, how they're using it, that kind of stuff. Feel free to jump on and hang out with us for about an hour as we go into it. I know, Mickey, we're going to dive into trying to figure out your quick fix or see how things went with you on Wednesday's call. So other than that, Roger, anything you want to throw out before we end it?
No, I think we're good. I think there's a lot
Cool.
of action items there that you guys can kind of take and run with. Just bring any questions next week because I mean, this is what moves the needle. I mean, I'm looking at my diagram still here on my other screen, and this is most of the questions we get. Mickey had the best. That's the best question someone can ask, right? It's like, my website, is it the do-all? It's not. I want to make that clear, right? It is not going to be the thing that's going to drive all the leads. It's never that thing that's going to do that, right? So it's just one of those things, but there's many things that you can do to prime it up. And then when someone gets there, it will be easier to convert. So just keep that in mind. Don't sit there and stare at it and think it's going to give you leads. It's not, it doesn't work that way.
The other quick announcement / reminder before we sign off, Roger did a Loom video, posted it to the group. I pinned it up as a announcement in the Facebook group. The new client portal is live. So go to topresultsconsulting.com, hit the little login button. Roger showed you what video walkthrough, what the password is, everything. That's where all the call replays will be. So that Google My Business call replay is currently up on the member portal. This call will be up in the next 24 to 48 hours on there, but that is the new home for all replays that we record and put up there. So go grab that or check it out and watch it on there. And we will see you guys either Wednesday or next Monday. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, y'all.